Hey folks, welcome back to the Lone Pine Tarot for today's pick a card reading. Pretty short and sweet, direct to the point. Advice on overcoming an obstacle. So today we're just going to talk about a message from your spirit team about maybe something that's been frustrating you lately that you could use or have been asking for some extra guidance or advice on overcoming, breaking through. So without further ado, let us pick our piles. For my pile number 1's over here on the left, we have the card Deprivation, Healer Guides. For my pile number 2's in the middle, we have Goals, Teacher Guides. And for my pile number 3's on the right, we have Clearing, Helper Guides. So just to reiterate, pile 1's Deprivation, pile 2's Goals, pile 3's Clearing. Feel free to pause on this part of the video if you're still deciding which card calls the most to you, and you can always, of course, pick more than one pile to read. I've had many viewers do that in the past. Sometimes you're called to more than just one. Either way, whenever you are ready for your reading and or maybe multiple readings, drop down to the description box below, enter the top pinned comment, click on the timestamp for your reading, and I will see you in our discussion about advice on overcoming your obstacle. Bye. Hello there, my lovely pile number 1's. Welcome to your pick a card reading today on the topic of advice on overcoming an obstacle in your path. As you recall, the card used to pick your pile today was Deprivation, Healer Guides, number 34. So as always, we'll set your pile leader over here next to the pine cone. I already drew the oracle cards as well, but as always, I like to draw the tarot cards on screen. So let us draw those. I'm going to shuffle first. Spirit team of my lovely pile number 1's, could you give me 5 tarot cards explaining more about what this obstacle is in their path and or your advice on overcoming that obstacle? Thank you. 5 cards for their highest best good. There we go. Card number 1. Card number 2, 3, 4, and number 5. Okay, let's reveal your oracle cards, pile 1's. First up from the Wild Harmonics, you received, Fire of Water, State Change. And then from the Lantern Oracle, today you received, number 10, Assistance with Access, and the subtitle says, it is necessary to ask for and receive help, necessary to ask for and accept help in order to receive it. Set that one over here next to the other big pine cone. And then we also have a Power of Surrender card today, in which you received surrender to your soul's path. Your life's journey has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. Embrace every lesson and every moment. Interesting. So we'll set these up here, and then let's reveal your tarot cards today, pile number 1's, before we move to the message. So number 1, we received the 6 of Cups reversed, 6 of Cups reversed is usually about something negative from our past. Could technically indicate childhood, as the 6 of Cups is generally associated with children and or childhood. Number 2, we have Justice reversed, which is kind of what it says on the tin. Injustice, that's what it means, reversed. Number 3, we have the Knight of Wands reversed, Knights are the action takers of tarot, and Wands is the fire suit of tarot, which means willpower and creativity. So reversed, the Knight of Wands means a lack of taking action on our creativity or our willpower, or feeling like we don't have the right knowledge or the willpower to move in a certain direction. Okay. Number 4, we have Beautiful Strength. Also kind of what it says on the tin, like the Justice card. Willpower, inner strength. Having the will to go forward with something. Confidence is another interpretation of the Strength card. And last but not least, we have the Emperor, another major arcana. Okay, pile number ones. And I always say this with my readings. If you're familiar with them, you're going to laugh because you know what I'm going to say. But when I see a majority of major arcana in a reading for a viewer, like you have Justice, Strength, and the Emperor, usually that means to me as the reader that this particular reading is regarding a major life lesson, either throughout many lives you've lived, if you believe in reincarnation like I do, or at least it's a major lesson within your current life path. Oh, excuse me, I bumped the table. Which is kind of funny because you do have a card about surrendering to your soul's path. So I feel like that's a connection there. This is something regarding something you're supposed to learn. It's a lesson you're meant to learn. Okay. And then getting back to the Emperor specifically, the Emperor is masculine energy, fatherly energy. It's all about structure and logic and authority, symbolized by him sitting in a throne with a spear. Okay, so I'm going to take just one short pause to take a drink, look over your cards here, pile number ones, and then we will move to your message in just a moment. Apologies for the silence. So pile number ones. The first thing that's really standing out to me is, especially when I read your tarot cards sequentially, like this is the beginning, this is the end, this is where you're at right now. In the beginning, you have the Six of Cups reversed. And like I said when I first pulled it out, the Six of Cups reversed is often about negative childhood. Okay, negative childhood experiences. It could also sometimes indicate issues with siblings and or family, people that you knew from childhood, could even be a childhood friend technically, but most of the time I see it as negative experience from childhood with the Six of Cups reversed, and that especially being next to Justice reversed, which means injustice. I think the major obstacle, or at least what's been leading up to it for you, pile number ones, is something to do with an injustice from your past, an injustice from, I think for most of you, probably childhood, okay? Something that's been hurting you for a long time, has been plaguing you for a long time, and that's probably why this is a major life lesson, because of the abundance of the major arcana cards here, is because this is something that has followed you out through life, and so it's something you've had to repeatedly deal with, okay? And I think what the obstacle is, now everyone's going to be a bit different because it's a general reading, but for most of you, I'm pretty sure that this is a feeling of lack because of this injustice from earlier years and or most likely childhood. I think because you were drawn to deprivation as your pile leader, well, let's explore. What does that mean? Okay, so deprivation is a form of the word deprived. And when we're deprived of things, it means we lack things. It means, sometimes it can mean emotional lack. Maybe you had some issues in your past with, parents that were emotionally distant. That's, one manifestation of that. Maybe you had, a financial insecurity or lack as a child, okay? And that led to maybe some, modern issues with money or, fears around money and those financial security related things, okay? But whatever it is, however it's manifested for you, however it's appeared for you in this life, pile number ones, the guiding theme for all of you watching this is that it has left you feeling deprived of something, okay? And that's what that card means, and I think that's why you were drawn to it. So this obstacle, pile number ones, is now in the present position here. We walked through these issues from the past, some injustices, and where it's left you now is that Knight of Wands reversed, feeling like you lack the ability to take action in certain areas, and especially with the Wands being the fire suit, I often associate that as a reader with confidence, okay? Especially the King of Wands, but I also do with the Knight of Wands reversed, okay? Because, the example here is a man who is rowing a boat with the dog in it with him, okay? And he's never going to get back to shore unless he, in this metaphorical example, is able to take his oar and row himself each time, okay? But the problem is that if he feels or believes that he can't do it, he's not going to get anywhere, and he's just going to kind of keep floating on the water. And maybe eventually he'll hit the shore and he'll kind of bump his way there, but he'd get there a lot faster if he felt confident enough to row that oar towards the shore. And I know that sounds like a really silly example, pile number ones, because we think, well, who wouldn't have the confidence to row a boat, right? I mean, it's pretty simple, but this is metaphorical for what I feel like you're going through right now. You feel like you lack the confidence to move forward in life because of these issues from the past, because of these injustices from the past, okay? But the good thing is, pile number ones, all right? You have two really fantastic cards here at the end in the future positions, okay? You have Strength and you have the Emperor, which are, Strength is a beautiful card to get after these cards right here, because Strength is literally the opposite of the lack of confidence of the Knight of Wands reversed, okay? Strength is all about, being willing or able to tame, excuse me, my voice is scratchy, being able or willing to tame our problems, to face our fears, especially, she has her hand here right on the nose of a lion. Pretty brave, right? She's not afraid of anything. She's not afraid of the lion. She's not afraid of, the beasts that have chased her, metaphorically speaking, and especially in your situation, pile number ones, I'm pretty sure the metaphorical beasts that have been chasing you are some haunting things from childhood, specifically in the area of injustices that were done to you. So that's your key forward, pile number ones. Finding confidence, finding willpower to move forward. And eventually in the outcome position here, you have the Emperor. And the Emperor is someone who is he's the emblem of masculine energy. And what do I mean when I say masculine energy? Well, masculine energy in tarot is represented by, like what I said, logic, authority, and power, okay? This is someone who's not afraid to say, I need to do this. This is how I need to do it. Or to other people, the same thing. You need to do this. This is how you do it. Okay. Very fatherly energy. Okay. With the Emperor. And I think maybe even some of you, why the Emperor came out in the outcome position here is because a lot of these injustice, maybe childhood issues, were related to a father figure in your past. So part of your journey, this life lesson right here, because of the major arcana that are so abundant, is becoming the person that your father wasn't to you. Okay? Having to father yourself in a way. Having to be the masculine energy in your own life that your father did not provide for you. Okay? Or whoever served as like the fatherly role in your life, because, we all have different kinds of families, right? That type of thing. But then I know already, probably you're asking pile number ones, well, how the heck do I get there? Because we go from, I feel like I lack confidence and I can't take action, to, okay, Strength. And that's the step right here that's probably really confusing you or giving you a hard time, is maybe a better way to put that, pile number ones. Well, how the heck do we get from the Knight of Wands reversed to Strength? And that's where your oracle cards come in, okay? So, first off the bat, we have, I think the best one to start with is Surrender to Your Soul's Path, and I'll just reiterate what it says down here. Excuse me. Once again, my voice is a bit scratchy. Your life's journey has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. Embrace every lesson and every moment, okay? This is a reiteration of this being a major life lesson, and then you being on the cusp of overcoming it. Pile number ones, you just have this last little stretch left to go before you get to the Strength card in the near future position here, right after where you're at right now with the Knight of Wands reversed, okay? This is something you were meant to learn. This is something you were meant to do, and it's something meant for you to eventually get to that Emperor energy. And that's the thing, is half of doing and achieving in life is believing in yourself and believing that you can do it. And I know that sounds cheesy, pile number ones, because I can sit here and tell you, believe in yourself, pile number ones, and you're going to be like, especially if you've had issues with that your whole entire life, and, I get it, I've been there too. It's hard to believe in yourself sometimes. You're going to be like, well, how the heck do I do that? Then we run back into that same problem with, how do I turn this into this, with the Knight of Wands into the Strength, right? And my answer is knowing that you're meant to get here, okay? Half of getting there is believing, like I said. Believing that you're capable, believing that you have the strength that you needed all along, with the Strength card literally being here right after this. It wasn't that she lacked the strength before this point, it's just that she didn't realize it until this point, okay? It's in you, pile number ones. You already have the strength that you need to overcome these issues. You already have, what you think you lack in terms of confidence is something that you don't have to be or lack confidence about. It's something that you never lacked. You always had it. It's just you didn't see that it was there. And half of knowing that it's there is being able to look inward and realize, well, what's the best way to put that? Is to look inward and realize that it was there with you all along, even if there were situations in your past where it felt like other people took your strength from you or gave you reasons to feel like you didn't have a reason to be confident, okay? A lot of soul healing in this reading. And then your next piece of advice, pile number ones, past, hey, this was designed for you. You're on the right path exactly where you're supposed to be. The next piece of advice is in state change here. This is fire of water, okay? And what this card derives its symbolism from is literally like, imagine taking a torch to water and what happens. Well, it goes through a state change, right? We think of the 3 different phases of matter. We have, solid, liquid, gas, and then I guess technically plasma is number 4. But most of the time we think of the 3. Solid, liquid, and gas, okay? And when fire meets water, it turns a liquid into a gas by creating steam. So I almost get, and you didn't receive the temperance card in this reading, but I almost get the temperance card out of this because it is 2 opposite elements meeting each other with fire and water and coming together and creating something entirely new through their combined energies. So I know that might sound like some spiritually gobbledygook, but tangibly though, pile number ones, what this means to you in terms of advice on moving into your confidence more and breaking past these issues that have plagued you maybe even since childhood, okay, is to let go of a rigid mindset, okay? The imagery I'm being shown is like a river that has been or has flowed through a certain pathway of rock for like millions or thousands at least of years. And it's almost like the way that I've heard how our brains work described to us. It is funny too because you even have a river in this picture and there's literally, he's on, well, it could be a lake or it could be technically a river in this picture. A lot of river imagery. Anyways, getting back to the brain example. It makes me think of how our brains work when it comes to when we're anxious about things or when we worry about things or when, and if anyone is actually trained in psychology or therapy, feel free to comment down below. But to my understanding, a lot of times the reason why we hover over certain thoughts or return back to certain thoughts is because the neural pathways in our brains that we take the most are the ones that our brain returns to the most. It's almost like the more of a thought pattern you have, the more your brain neurologically will keep retreading that path like a river that's already wound and broken through that rock. That's the path of least resistance. And so that's where the water flows with not only the river example, but also the brain neurologically, okay? Of where your thoughts go in your brain, why you make certain connections, okay? And what this is saying here with fire of water is to let go of that rigid mindset. You have to retrain your brain to let go of the self-beliefs that you constructed about yourself from these painful cards of justice reversed and the 6 of cups reversed in the past positions, okay? And once you retrain where that river goes, where those thought patterns go, that will help you break through to the strength here. That's your last step. That's your last little rock on the path you got to break through before you get to smooth sailing with this. And that's a lot easier said than done, because I myself, and I think pretty much everyone in the world, has struggled with thought patterns that have haunted us from childhood before, especially when it comes to confidence. If you've lived your whole entire life believing that you can't do something because that's what someone taught you, it's really hard to break out of that mindset because we've conditioned the other person that's involved or other people, maybe even plural, multiple, have conditioned us to think, well, that's just the way it is. You're not good enough. You can't do that. You're not talented enough for that. Those types of thoughts, okay? Or whatever it might be that kind of haunts you at night sometimes, or whatever it is, it's those limiting beliefs that hold you back. But your answer is to break those, okay? And yes, easier said than done. But pieces of the advice here, or I should say the final piece, is assistance with access. It is necessary to ask for and accept help in order to receive it, okay? My first inclination, pile number ones, is especially because this seems like a lot of past trauma. For those of you who are able, I would recommend maybe therapy to work through these issues. And I know therapy is a privilege, okay? There are a lot of therapists who are completely booked up right now, okay? Especially in the aftermath of the pandemic. There are maybe issues with financial feasibility with meeting with a therapist. I totally understand that as well, okay? So I'm not going to just say for every one of you, go to therapy, it's that easy, click, because there are a lot of obstacles to therapy. And like I said, therapy is a privilege, okay? We don't all have access to someone who is trained in helping you rewire your brain like that. But for those of you where that is an option and you haven't explored that yet, I would recommend therapy with the combination of breaking the rigid mindset and assistance with access, okay? Especially because it emphasizes asking for help. All right. For those of you where that is not an option, okay, reading books regarding retraining false beliefs about yourself. I don't know of any off the top of my head I've read many in my life. None are really coming to mind right now. But of course, any of my viewers in my comments section, if any of you have struggled with this before, please, please, please feel free to drop any titles of books that have helped you in this journey. Maybe that could help, other pile number ones watching this reading. Okay? But whatever it is, whatever you seek to help you through this, asking for outside help is your best way through it, pile number ones. It could even be confiding in a family member or a friend about this issue. Maybe you've kind of bottled it up a lot and you've kind of struggled with it alone. And part of it, is asking for another person, be it a friend or a family member, maybe even a lover, depending on, who you feel comfortable talking about these issues with, right? And having them give you that outside perspective. Because maybe some of the issue is that you have bottled it up, so you haven't had a chance at an outside perspective. And the moment you tell them, hey, I believe this thing about myself because of these things that happened, they'll probably tell you, pile number ones, well, I don't think that's true. I don't see you in that way. And sometimes someone confirming, that a false belief about yourself really is false, if not, is the only thing you need to finally, at least chip away at that false belief. It's at least a really good first step, okay? So confide in your friends, confide in your family, confide in other people. Maybe even consider therapy if that's something that you have access to financially and or it's feasible for you, of course. I respect people from all different walks of life on my channel, so I understand that some of us can't afford it, or maybe there's a lot of therapists who are too booked in your area, but that's another piece of advice I would give you. And also, too, with deprivation, the pile leader that you chose, pile number ones, okay? Yes, technically on the surface, deprivation looks like, it's from the root of the word deprived, or to deprive, right? And what that means is feeling like we have a lack of something. But part of the meaning of this card is realizing that there's a lot more that we have to be thankful for than what we at least perceive right now. And that's part of that state change, that letting go of that rigid mindset with the fire of water, is realizing that there are things about you that are valuable, pile number ones. There are many things that you should be confident about that maybe right now at that Knight of Wands reverse that you aren't, okay? Your spirit team here is telling you that they see you as strength. This is the person you're supposed to be, okay? And right now, they're trying to help you get from that Knight of Wands reversed into this more Emperor strength energy. Because that's where you deserve to be, and that's where you're supposed to be based on, like it says, surrender to your soul's path. A life of confidence, a life of power with strength and Emperor is meant for you, pile number ones. It's just you have to believe that you're worth it before you're able to grasp it, okay? You have to let go of those beliefs from childhood that aren't serving you anymore, okay? Those things that toxic people put on you that are worth trash now because they're things that are holding you back, okay? they had their own issues and they projected them on you, and or they, did what toxic people do and they made it your problem. And you owe it to yourself to not let them have that power over you anymore and step into your own power here with the Emperor, that masculine energy of saying, hey, I have worth, I have power, these are my boundaries, I know I have value. And then especially too, like I said, with strength being right next to it, I am confident, I am strong. Okay, literally, because what it says on the tin, strength. Let's see if there's any other messages here for you pile number ones. But yes, especially, even for those of you who do have the opportunity at therapy, do confide in your friends and family and loved ones anyways, okay? Because outside perspectives are oftentimes the chisel that can help us break out of a rigid mindset. Okay, sometimes we have to look outside of ourselves to see better within ourselves. I know it sounds like, well, would you call that technically an oxymoron? I know it sounds like antithetical to each other, but yes, sometimes you have to look outside yourself to see better within yourself. Okay, it's almost kind of like, sometimes you don't see the whole picture until you look at it from a bird's eye view. And looking from other people's perspectives, objectively, will help you see this past better, to help you break through this blockage and move into that strength and Emperor energy here meant for you in the future. That's how you break your obstacle pile number ones, okay? So as always, I hope that reading was helpful for you. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and just as a final message to you, know, like I said, that what those people said to you in the past, those beliefs imposed on you in the past, are not true. Okay? They're not true. So yes, I will leave you with that, and I hope to see you in the next reading pile number ones. Bye. Hello there, my lovely pile number twos. Welcome to your pick a card reading today on the topic of advice on overcoming an obstacle in your path. As you recall, the pile leader you chose today was Goals, Teacher Guides. So we have a figure who is doing some sort of martial art. Looks like Taekwondo to me. And I can say that as, well, I did take Taekwondo when I was young. Definitely looks like Taekwondo. But of course, there's kicking maneuvers and all different kinds of martial arts. If anyone's actually familiar with what this might be, let me know in the comments below. But without further ado, let's put your pile leader over here next to the pine cone. And of course, I already drew your oracle cards, but I always like to draw the tarot cards themselves on screen. So let's do that right now, pile number twos. All right, let's shuffle. And for my pile number two, Spirit Team of Twos, please give me 5 different cards explaining the timeline of what's going on with this obstacle and how they overcome it. Thank you. What's going on? Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Makes my job easy. I think that is 5 cards. Well, what do you know? Sometimes just the right number come out. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these were the first 2 that came out. We'll put them in the bottom. And then this one here. And then these 2 right here. We will talk about those in just a moment. First, we'll explore the oracle cards. So from the Wild Harmonics Oracle today, you received the Fire of Air. Lots of fire today. Pile number 1's had a fire card too. Empowered Discernment. Blending the mind with the willpower with fire and air. Empowered Discernment. Okay. Then from the Lantern Oracle today, you received, beautiful card, Emotional Energy. Emotions are messengers to be met with appropriate attention, action, and gratitude. Okay. Making friends with our emotions instead of kicking them away. Gorgeous card. And then from the Surrender deck, or Power of Surrender it's called, you received Surrender to Wonder and Awe. So it says, open to the magic of every moment and sense the awe and wonder in all of life. This attitude will keep you connected to the ecstasy of flow. A lot about flow today. Yeah. Just a lot of similar type cards, especially these 2 kind of make you think of each other. Because they both kind of have like that rainbowy dress, a lot of similar colors. Interesting. A lot of gold and red too. Beautiful. And let's reveal your tarot cards. So first up, we have the Three of Pentacles reversed, feeling like there's a lack of teamwork in some area of your life. That might be an indicator as to what the obstacle is for most of you, but we'll see what else pops out. Number 2, the Nine of Cups reversed, feeling a lack of emotional fulfillment in something is what that means. Feeling like our wish was not granted with this particular situation. Then in the present position, we have the Lovers reversed, okay, feeling like a lack of connection, feeling like a relationship gone bad. Sometimes the Lovers traditionally can also mean a choice, so reversed it would mean a bad choice made, or we fear that we made a bad choice, but we'll see what else pops out. And then these two were already kind of flipped over when they came out. We have the King of Swords. He is the mastery of the mind, at least in the external manifestation. So in layman's terms, basically what that means is mastering how we say things, being an effective communicator, things like that. And last but not least, we have the Eight of Pentacles reversed. Eight of Pentacles can indicate reversed that it's kind of like the Nine of Cups. We feel like a dissatisfaction with something. Cups specifically is more with emotions. Eight of Pentacles reversed is more feeling like we put in a lot of work, we watered these seeds, but we feel like we're not getting out what we put in. Okay? Or something might be even a little bit too hard of work for what it is. Or than it should be, I guess, is maybe a better way to put that. So I'm going to just take a drink here to wet my voice. Apologies for just a moment of silence. So, pile twos. I don't even need to pause that long to look over your cards because I'm pretty sure I already know what this is all about. Okay? And, of course, as generating, everyone's going to be a bit different, but I'm pretty sure for most of you, this is related to... what's the best way to put it? Culling, or at least considering culling a relationship from your life. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, even though you did get the Lovers. Okay, but you have a lot of cards about... Well, let's go through your tarot cards as a timeline. Okay, so in the far past position, we have the Three of Pentacles reversed. Okay, like I said, that's like a lack of teamwork, feeling like people aren't working with us in a certain area, especially next to the Nine of Cups reversed is the next card. That's about feeling, that lack of satisfaction, that lack of emotional fulfillment in something. People were not working with you, and you were not very happy about it, basically is what this card means next to, or what they mean next to each other, I should say. And in the present position, what's happening right now with the Lovers reversed is it's causing some issues in a certain relationship for you. And I think this is what the actual main obstacle is for you, pile number twos. You're not happy in a relationship. It could be, like it says on the tin, a romantic relationship that you're in. Maybe that's why you even came to this reading, okay? That's why you clicked on the video. Could be a close platonic relationship, which can mean like a friend, basically, that maybe you had for a long time or you're close with. Can also mean even a familial relationship. I can read with the Lovers being, because I don't always necessarily read it as romantic love. I can read it as just like very like close kinship, okay? So it could even be a family member that maybe you're having some issues with right now. And the indicator for you, pile number two, is as to who this is, where this relationship issue is coming in, is someone that you felt kind of dissatisfied with in the recent past and who has had a history of not working very well with you, okay, with that Three of Pentacles reverse. Someone who's not very good at teamwork. It could even be a coworker that you've had to work closely with at work or you've been with for a long time. Maybe they're not holding up their end of the bargain here, and so you're really frustrated and you're like, well, how the heck do I get past this relationship issue or this coworker or friend issue, whatever it is for you as a generating. Okay, that's the question. Well, how the heck do I get over this? And so what I said before, remember, is something about culling a certain relationship from your life. So pile number twos, you already kind of know where I'm going with this, and you always have free will. And this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cut this person out of your life. But there are some indicators of advice here about doing just that from your spirit team, because we have Fire of Air here, empowered discernment. You know, if I had to summarize this card in one sentence, basically what it means is cutting something out of your life, okay? Clearing out the old that doesn't serve us anymore to let in new energy that does serve us or is more aligned with us, okay? So cutting out people that don't work with us very well and cutting out people that make us feel like, emotionally unfulfilled here with the Nine of Cups reversed next to the Three of Pentacles reversed, okay? So at least consider letting go of this person, okay? And maybe you're probably already doing that and that's why you clicked on the reading. At least consider, and of course it's going to look different for everybody. If it's a family member you're having issues with, maybe you can't exactly cut them out because, you've got blood ties to them, but that could mean reducing your exposure to that person as much as possible if, they are leaving you feeling frustrated all the time. If it's a romantic relationship, maybe consider ending it if you feel like constantly frustrated with it all the time and you feel like the other person especially is not doing their end of the bargain with the Three of Pentacles reversed. They're not helping you. You feel like you're dragging the whole thing along and they're just coming along for the ride. That type of frustration, okay? And then looking at your other cards here. We'll get to the King of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles reversed in just a second here after we talk about these two cards, all right? Because these are the future cards, or at least advice on how to go forward in the future and the potential outcome as far as where you're going right now. Okay, we'll talk about those in a second. We have emotional energy here. 25. Emotions are messengers to be met with appropriate attention, action, and gratitude. This card, like I said when I pulled it out, is all about we're not kicking our emotions to the curb, okay? When we feel like frustrated because A, somebody's not working well with us here, and B, when we feel dissatisfied emotionally, these two cards are your indicators, right? Those are signs to us that say, hey, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this picture. This relationship, this partnership is not working out, okay? This friendship, related, romantic relationship, whatever it is for you, pile number two, is everyone's going to be a bit different, but that's your indicator. How do I feel when I think about this person? Do I feel, if it's like a romantic relationship, lovey-dovey, everything's great. Okay, well then go with that. That's a signpost that the relationship is still good to go, or friendship, whatever, etc. Or do you feel frustrated and do you feel like, oh, this isn't emotionally fulfilling me? That's an indicator from your heart, pile number twos, that you should really look at this relationship in your life and whether or not it's serving you, okay? I feel like there's some energy here, very lovingly, tenderly, I'm going to say this, of stuffing your feelings down and pretending they're not there. I say that lovingly, pile number twos, but you did get emotional energy, and yeah, that tells me that your spirit team is saying there's emotions that you're feeling that you're not paying enough attention to, and I feel like that's what those are, is that frustration. You're maybe kind of stuffing it down because, especially if it's like a romantic relationship, pile number twos, okay? Or maybe even, someone you've been considering dating, but it's like you're not at that stage yet, or maybe they've been blowing hot and cold, Yeah, if you feel frustrated, if this person consistently makes you feel upset, maybe not a good idea to be with that person, okay? Your emotions are your guideposts. That's what that card means. So that's advice number 2 on breaking this obstacle. Listen to your emotions, pile number 2. Number 1 is being willing to call out things that don't serve us, okay? And then number 3, you have surrender to wonder and awe, okay? Open to the magic of every moment and sense the awe and wonder in all of life. This attitude will keep you connected to the ecstasy of flow, okay? Now, that card is interesting to get in this reading because what it's telling me, pile number 2, is, or at least what your spirit team is saying, is, what's the best way to put it? One moment, sorry. The imagery I'm getting intuitively from your spirit team, pile number 2, is it's like you're walking around with your head down and you're not looking up enough and seeing the potential for something better out there. Does that kind of make sense, pile number 2? And I don't mean that in the way of like frivolous, like, oh, my romantic partner has just one little flaw, I'm going to find someone out there who's perfect because, that's the thing. Nobody's perfect. But what I mean is it's to the point where you're lowering your head and not looking around at you. So much so that you don't even know that, like, it's like that there could be better out there, but it's that feeling of like you're stuffing it down because you almost don't want to acknowledge that it exists. Does that make sense, pile number 2? And like I said, I say this very lovingly, but I don't sugarcoat my readings. So when I do see advice like this, that's your spirit team telling me to profess this to you. And what they're saying with this card is, when you're not willing to look or entertain the idea of something better out there, you get stuck in this world of just staring at, it's like you're staring at your feet and you're just like focusing on, okay, one step ahead, I gotta go through the motions. But are you actually really understanding what you're feeling while you're doing that? Do you understand what you're feeling as you go through with this relationship with this person or this friendship, whatever it might be? Okay. Does it make you feel wonder and awe? That's another question to ask yourself with this relationship. And number 4, with your pile leader, you have goals here, right? Is this relationship or friendship serving your goals? Say your goal, okay, for those of you where this might be a romantic relationship, say your goal is I want a committed, loving partnership with someone who's loyal and respects my time and my emotions. Okay, so you've identified what it is that you want, or it might be different than that. Everyone's going to be a bit different. And then ask yourself, does this relationship align with those goals that I had for myself when I started this relationship and or the goals that I might still have for myself? And if the answer is no, that's another indication that this is an area where you maybe should consider calling that person out of your life. Okay? Or at least, especially for those of you where this is a romantic thing, calling them from a romantic partner to maybe, I guess it depends on the separation if it comes to that, but that's what I mean. Look at what your goals are, pile number 2, and see where this relationship does or does not align with them. Okay? I feel like you might have been sacrificing some of your goals in this situation because you're afraid of letting go of whoever this is. But then it's like you're sacrificing a piece of yourself is how I'll put it, pile number 2. You're sacrificing your goals. You're sacrificing what could be because where you are right now feels like, well, maybe this is the best I can get. Okay? Maybe there isn't anything out there that's better is maybe something that you think to yourself. But what your spirit team is saying is if you're not feeling happy, if these things aren't aligning with your goals, and if this relationship makes you feel like you're just going through the motions, and you feel like you have to keep your head down just to get through it, then that's a sign that this is something that you should call. Okay, that's what those cards are saying. Okay. Now, getting back to the King of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles reversed, like I said, we're going to get back to those later. I'm going to actually just take a drink really quick. Apologies. I'm going to take a drink, and then we're going to talk about those. Pile number 2. These are the future positions. Next up is the King of Swords, okay? You're at the point of, this might not be working out. Next up is, like I said, the Master of Communication. When you... Okay, so take some time to yourself, pile number 2. And really think through, what are my goals with this relationship? What makes me happy? What am I actually feeling in this relationship? Recognize those things, your goals, your emotions, and what makes you happy. Commit to them. And then your next step is communicating that to the other person involved or other people. It could even be more than one. Whoever is involved with this. Communicating that effectively with the King of Swords, okay? That's your first step of breaking this obstacle. Because, it could be that you communicate these things and this other person or people adapt to it and say, oh, I didn't know that's what you were looking for. Okay, well, let's talk about that, compromise, or let's talk about what's the path look like to get there. But pile number 2 is if you find that you're still in that energy of the Eight of Pentacles reversed at the end here, I've been pouring resources and energy and water and fertilizer and etc., whatever other metaphorical thing you want to use, into growing this thing, and I'm not getting out of it what I put back in. That's where this empowered discernment comes in, pile number 2. You need to get back what you give, at least, for this to be worth it. Okay? Relationships are give and take. Relationships are equal distribution. Relationships are a two-way street. And if you effectively communicate that and, the other person or people involved say, well, whatever, that's where fire of air comes in and goals comes in, okay? And honoring and cherishing your emotions and saying, okay, emotions, I get you. I'm going to cherish you. You're feeling that way for a certain reason. And now I'm going to take that fiery energy and that air energy of willpower and mental strength combined, like power of, fire of air, power discernment says. And I'm going to move forward in my life without this person anymore. Okay. So sorry, it was a bit of a tough love reading, pile number 2, but this is there's a lot of repeated messages in this reading about not listening to yourself enough, about taking less than what you deserve, and really focusing again on what are your actual goals and what do you actually feel with this particular situation, and maybe even getting to the point of an ultimatum with that King of Swords, okay? Because that King of Swords says what's on his mind. He says it effectively, and he says it tactfully. But he says what's on his mind. He's not afraid. He's the master of air, and air in tarot is communication, okay? I say, throat chakra vibes, right? Unblock that throat chakra and say, hey, this is what I need, this is what I'm looking for, this is how I feel. If you don't align with that, goodbye. Okay? Bluntly is kind of what the reading is saying. So that's how you break through your obstacle, pile number 2. Remember your goals. Cherish your goals. Remember your emotions. Cherish them. Don't stuff them down. And cull what doesn't serve you anymore with empowered discernment, okay? Because you deserve to be, especially if this is a romantic relationship, you deserve to be in a relationship with someone that works with you well. That is a 3 of Pentacles upright for you. Hey, we're doing this great thing together. Yay, equal distribution, instead of this is a pain in the butt and this person isn't pulling their weight, okay? Same thing too with the 9 of Cups. Wishes fulfilled, emotional fulfillment, okay? You deserve to be in a relationship or a friendship, whatever it might be, etc. General reading, everyone's different. Where you feel emotionally fulfilled instead of drained, okay? It may be tough love reading. You need a little bit more kick butt energy. A little bit more martial arts energy here, willing to kick someone's butt, okay? Because, lovingly, pile number 2, you have the right to express what it is that you desire and what you need. And if that person or people do not align with that, then you need that martial arts energy and kick butt energy, okay? Lovingly. I know I keep saying that, but we'll insert a little bit of humor here because, it's not an easy reading to receive, especially if you were coming to this reading, being like, oh, well, this relationship, I really want it to work out, especially for those of you where this might be a romantic thing. But if you came to this reading with doubts, that means you probably already did have emotions about this that deep down where maybe subconsciously you haven't really addressed consciously yet. And this reading is a sign from your spirit team, like, hey, wait a minute, there's these things that you're feeling that you're not addressing or cherishing enough. And you have the right to cull things from your life that aren't serving you anymore, okay? You have the right to be with people that align with your goals, okay? That respect these emotions as well. Okay, so that's what I'll leave you with today, pile number 2. Just remember the King of Swords energy with this obstacle. Do not be afraid to communicate what it is that you need. And then the martial arts energy, if, they still kind of are like, no, I'm not aligning with that. Okay, goodbye, see you. That type of thing. Kick butt, right? I mean, like I said, it's not set in stone. We all have free will. Things can change. Tarot readings are not always 100% this for sure is going to happen. But at least on the path you're on right now, that's your advice from your spirit team, okay? It's not for sure this relationship is going to end. But the best thing to do, no matter if it does end or it doesn't, is to communicate the things that you're feeling about what's going on with your goals and your emotions, how you feel, okay? Anyways, yeah, I'll leave you with that, pile number 2. So as always, I hope that reading was helpful for you. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 2s. Hello, my lovely pile number 3s. Welcome to your pick a card reading today on the topic of advice on overcoming an obstacle. As you recall, the card you used to pick your pile today was Clearing Helper Guides. So we have a hand reaching upwards, gaining new energy, letting go of stagnant energy down here. We'll set this pile leader over here to the left next to the pine cone as always. We have your oracle cards, which I already drew, and then I like to draw the tarot cards on the screen at this point. So we'll do that right now. Get some shuffling going. Spirit team of pile number 3s, could you give me 5 different cards explaining the timeline of what's going on with this obstacle in pile number 3's life, please, for their highest best good? Thank you. Okay. Well, 2 just came out. Okay, that one for sure wanted to come out. Set these to the side for just a moment. So we have, oh boy, lots of major arcana already. So the Hangman reverse, the Tower. We'll reveal this one later. And then let's pick the last 2. Let's see what's going on in pile 3's life. That one right there, number 4. And let's see number 5. Right there. Okay, let's unveil your cards, pile number 3s. Every pile today was very quick drawing. I don't know. Apparently the cards just want to fly with this particular tarot deck. So, looking at your oracle cards. First up from the Wild Harmonics, we have, another fire. Every pile today got one of the fire cards. Pile 3, you though have Dimensional of Fire, which is Infinite Expressions. Dimensional of Fire, Infinite Expressions. Got some past life energy with this particular card. We'll talk about that more once we have everything out together. From the Lantern Oracle today, you received Radical Honesty. To believe in the facade is to suffocate in the armor of alienation, self-defeat, and self-denial. Funny how we talked about different incarnations with infinite expressions here, past lives, right? And this card to me, especially meaning radical honesty, it's like taking her armor off, right, and showing who she is underneath. Who are you underneath your current incarnation? It's kind of what it says to me, especially in combination with that card. Even too with your clearing card. It's like, what's the energy underneath the surface here? And then from the Power of Surrender cards today, you received surrender to what is. Flow with what is instead of fighting it. When you can't change a situation, compassionately accepting it exactly as it is will bring you peace. So we'll talk about that more in a moment. Let's reveal the tarot cards, even though we saw a lot of them already. First, we have the 7 of Cups. This is all about different choices to be made, different wishes, different dreams. Which ones are real, which ones are not? What choice is the careful one to be made? Lots of different interpretations for that card. We'll see what comes up next to it. We have the King of Wands, the Mastery of Fire, which in tarot means someone who's, especially with the energy of the king, which is external energy is how I read it, confident, charismatic, has willpower, strong, fire energy, just like your Dimensional of Fire. Third card is the Queen of Cups reversed, okay? The Queen of Cups is about how we master our emotions internally. Reversed, it's in a negative aspect, so perhaps there are some emotions you haven't been listening to, deep down inside, some emotions you've been ignoring or not honoring, okay? And then the 2 we already revealed, we have the Tower. Okay, the Tower card in tarot is all about something that needs to come to an end or change to make way for something better. is how I always describe the Tower. It's the card of massive change, sometimes even upheaval. And, of course, we have the Hanged Man reversed that we received, or well, we saw earlier, I should say. The Hanged Man reversed is asking for more energy of seeing things from a different perspective, just like this man is doing. I should know this because I do yoga. I believe he's doing a yoga pose right here. Anyone that's familiar with that yoga pose, feel free to comment down below what pose that is, but he's looking at things from a different perspective, because when you look at it right side up, he's upside down. So, the Hangman. Let me look over your cards for just a moment, pile number 3s. I'm also going to just take a drink to condition my voice a bit and see what your obstacle and the advice is all about. Especially with the past position cards here. We have the 7 of Cups with the King of Wands. You know, the first thing that pops out to me, pile number 3, is I believe you're at a junction in your life where you made a choice. Could be either the far past or the recent past. And you went after that goal from that choice quite adamantly, quite vigorously with the energy of the King of Wands here. Something that you really went for it. You were confident about it. You're like, I can do this. This is my path. I completely know where I'm going. And then, in the present energy right here with the Queen of Cups reversed, you realized something is not aligning here. It's like, I almost see you running along and you're having, you're making really great progress with whatever you're going through. But all of a sudden, you stop running and you come to that pause and you're like, well, wait a minute, what am I actually doing? Where am I? Is this really where I'm supposed to be? And the indicator or kind of sign of that internally to you, pile number 3, is the feeling of emotions that, perhaps you've been stuffing them down a little bit, maybe not wanting to listen to them because things might be going really great here with that King of Wands. You made a choice. It looks like things are going well, but there is some sort of deep emotional dissatisfaction here with that Queen of Cups in the present position reversed. Some deep emotional dissatisfaction with where you are, even if you've been successful. You're like, well, wait a minute. Is this really what I want to be doing? Is this really where I'm supposed to go? Okay. And I find it interesting, too, that you have not only the woman in the white suit here and the Queen of Cups, you also have a woman in a white dress in Surrender What to What Is. And what that tells me is, symbolically, white is the color of purity. It's almost like the purity of your intention you've been considering here. You're like, am I doing this because this is something I really actually want to do, or am I doing this for reasons that I don't quite pay attention to? Okay, for some of you, and as a general reading, everyone's gonna be a bit different. For some of you, this might manifest in a way of, say, like a career you've been on where you've done really well at it, but maybe you're realizing, well, this isn't really pure to my feelings deep down. Maybe this is something I don't really actually want to do. It could even be something as simple as, maybe you recently took on a project or you recently took on a task and you've been doing really well at it, but all of a sudden you're kind of realizing, well, I don't know. Am I really emotionally satisfied here? Am I really listening to myself deep down here? Okay? And that's the question you're asking yourself. I believe that's your obstacle right now, pile number 3s, even if you might not realize it, or deep down you do at least, and maybe you're not consciously addressing it, is I made a choice. I'm doing something pretty well, but I don't know if this is the right fit for me or if it's something that I feel right about, okay? Could be ethical concerns. It could be soul path concerns, like maybe you're feeling like, I don't know if this is really what I want to do. It could be, like I said, with career, could be a common manifestation of this issue for some of you. And, well, I'm not sure whether to go forward with the Oracle cards first or the Tarot cards first. One moment. Especially with the Tower, excuse me. I was going to say the Tarot. The Tower coming up here soon in the close future position. You're like, well, what do I do with this? Pile number 3. On the path you're on right now, you always have free will. You can always change the future, okay? Most things are not set in stone. And that's part of why we live the lives we do, at least in my opinion, my personal belief. You might be different. That, yeah, there are tentpole moments in our life of the path that was decided for us before we walked here. But there are choices we can make between those tentpoles. We can decide what the shape of the slope is, okay? And right now, you're at a critical juncture of deciding what the shape of that slope is before you get to a tentpole. And that's where this tower comes in the future position. And remember when I said when we pulled out the tower that it's all about something that needs to end comes to an end, or something is going to fall? So the tower looks really scary on the surface. And a lot of people, when they pull the tower in tarot, they're like, oh no. But actually, I read the tower as a positive card, and I'm not saying it just to sugarcoat or make you feel better, but the reason why it's positive is because, yes, there's a change coming, but it would not have fallen if it was built on solid foundations in the first place, and that's what the tower means. The tower is a revelation of something that wasn't already working in the first place. And so pile number 3 is, I think, if you're asking yourself, how do I break past this obstacle of me not feeling emotionally aligned or happy or fulfilled with where I'm going, even if I am technically successful with whatever this is, you're coming up to a tentpole moment in your life where there's going to be change anyways. And, so in stark contrast to the other piles today, where a lot of it was like, well, you have choices from here on out. And you do have free will, pile number 3. But I see that tentpole moment with this tower where something's going to change anyways. Okay. And what's interesting is that you have the Hanged Man reversed at the end. And the Hanged Man reversed is asking for you to consider a different perspective on something. Likely whatever this tower moment is. And I think for most of you, it could be, just as an example, it might not apply to everybody, but say this is like a career you've been considering where you're like, I've been doing really good at this thing, but I'm not sure if it's for me. It could be that for some reason, a tower moment comes where you're whisked away from that career anyways. And part of the lesson or the challenge in that tower moment of change is looking at it from a different perspective, okay? You might see it as, oh, this thing is ending. What do I do? Maybe, and I don't want you to be scared when I say that, pile number 3, because I always try to make my readings empowering. I want you to walk away feeling like you have all the tools you need to address whatever the issue is that came up in the reading. But yes, you maybe initially might be like, oh, scary change, right? Because we don't like change. We think it's scary. We like stability. But there's an opportunity here, a golden opportunity here, for when that change comes with that tower, for you to see life in a different way, and that's why that change is coming, okay? So, like I said, other piles today, a lot of their obstacle advice was, here's how you break through it, here's your advice, the power is completely in your hands. But with that tower, I always kind of see that as, this is something from the universe coming down and intervening with whatever this matter is for you specifically, okay? For each of you sitting at home watching this. And that's part of also where your surrender to what is card comes in. Flow with what is instead of fighting it. When you can't change a situation, compassionately accepting it exactly as it is will bring you peace. So that's your first piece of advice about this obstacle pile number 3, okay? Change is coming with the tower, but don't be afraid of it. Your spirit team is telling you, accept it for what it is, okay? Because there's a golden opportunity here with that hangman to see something from a different perspective. Okay? It's something that's good for you in the end, even if it technically looks scary on the surface. Like I said, tower cards, we tend to be fearful of them because we think, oh no, change is scary. But actually, change can be a really, really good thing, because it allows new energy to enter our lives when we've already bypassed the lessons that we've needed to learn and need to move on to the next lesson or the next class, metaphorically speaking here in terms of soul lessons, right? So, yes, don't fear the Tower. The Tower is actually a good card, pile number 3 is, in my opinion, as a reader. And it'll help you see life in a different perspective. So part of your advice is to prepare for the change in this situation by surrendering to what is, okay? Letting go of the idea of control and adapting as best you can. And I think you'll ride it through just fine here. I'm getting pile number 3, so I think you're going to be just okay. Like, that's another reason why your spirit team is saying, don't freak out with this Tower, okay? It's going to be fine. You're going to be okay. Everything's good. Because there's good things coming out of it. You're going to be just fine. But another piece of advice for you, pile number 3, is to still honor your emotions with this situation, okay? Still honor that Queen of Cups reversed of, maybe I'm not emotionally satisfied, or honoring my emotions regarding this situation, this choice that I made, even if I technically look successful or feel successful on the outside. Okay? Because part of accepting those emotions will help you ride through this change even easier. Because, say it is like a career-related thing, just for an example. Where, let's say, what's a good tangible version of this? I just want to give me a second. Apologies for the throat clearing. My voice is a bit scratchy as well. One moment. So say pile number 3 is, for example, you have a sudden need of career change, or say a job change for whatever reason. Could be, maybe you're like let go from a job, or maybe a really good opportunity comes up. It could be multiple different things, okay? And you struggle at first with adapting to that change because you say to yourself, oh God, if it's like a job loss situation, that can be really scary, and Spirit is acknowledging that as well as myself, right? Or if an opportunity comes up, it can be really scary to think, okay, well, what is the best choice? Do I stay with where I'm at, or do I go with the new opportunity, okay? But if you get in touch with those emotions from the Queen of Cups reversed here, that will be a good guidepost for you to realize, hey, maybe this change is a good idea. Maybe I don't have to be so afraid of this Tower. Okay? And that will help you sail those rough waters, or it doesn't necessarily even have to be rough waters, sail those chaotic waters of change, okay? Can be even, it doesn't have to be negative, it can be a positive change too, right? And I think in the end for, it is a positive change because of this hangman energy here, right? But it helps you sail those waters a little bit easier because you realize, well, maybe I wasn't so happy with where I was anyways with that Queen of Cups reversed, okay? So part of this reading is acknowledging, okay, well, accepting what is, okay, when change comes, when the universe takes its finger and says, hey, I'm going to make this thing go this direction, and sometimes that is out of our control, all right? That's a Tower moment. But yeah, that accepting it and honoring our emotions while we go through these times of change makes it a lot easier. All right? Because it will make us realize, hey, maybe I wasn't in the right place all along. Maybe the right place was somewhere else. And maybe it took the universe tipping the scales a bit for me to realize there is better for me out there, and changing my perspective on how I would live my life. Okay? With the hangman reversed. Another aspect here to, actually your Lantern Oracle here, radical honesty, I'll just read it again. To believe in the facade is to suffocate in the armor of alienation, self-defeat, and self-denial. There's a twofold message with that pile number 3s, and I'm going to first talk about how it relates to the message we've already discussed about, hey, maybe there's some emotions you're not quite listening to on the way to this change, okay? This card gives me the vibes of someone, because literally when you look at her, she has this tough outer shell. She's like, I'm okay. I'm armored up. Nothing can hurt me. I have this big shield down here. It's kind of in shadow in the picture. Maybe you can't see it on camera, but there's a shield in front of her. Nothing can hurt me. Everything's fine. But then she takes her helmet off and she's got scars all over her face. And what that symbolizes is, well, I mean, kind of like what it says on the tin, radical honesty. Okay? She's taking her armor off and she's saying, hey, there is something underneath here that I'm not recognizing or I'm trying to hide. But there's no reason for me to hide it. Because being radically honest about how I feel or who I am deep down is a lot braver than putting on a suit of armor. And so that's the first facet of that message to you, pile number 3, okay? Is that it's okay to be radically honest with yourself about, hey, maybe I'm not so happy with where I'm at right now. Even if I technically look successful or come off as happy on the outside with that King of Wands. It's okay to admit that. It's okay to say, hey, not everything's hunky-dory. Maybe I'm not satisfied with where I'm at. Or, it could be, maybe you like where you're at, but there's some aspect about it you wish you could change. And it's okay to admit that to yourself. That's another facet of the surrender to what is. You can't change how you feel, pile number 3s. You feel what you feel for a reason, okay? And it's a guidepost. You're almost like pile 2s this way, telling you there's something deeper here that you're not addressing. And it's time to take the helmet off and to look at what is. What's the truth underneath this veneer? Okay? That's what these cards mean. Now, there's a secondary meaning here with both radical honesty, and then that also leads into dimensional of fire, your infinite expressions. This particular card over here from the Wild Harmonics Oracle is all about looking to past life lessons. It can also sometimes manifest as learning from lessons that your ancestors went through, also even lessons that you've already kind of dealt with in your current life. But maybe you're coming across like a secondary test with that lesson, or maybe another incarnation of it, because maybe you didn't quite learn it the first time. Sometimes I've seen that happen in people's lives. For my personal beliefs, I think we come here to learn lessons. And sometimes we learn a lesson earlier on in life and maybe we didn't do so well with it, so now it's popping up again. So just to reiterate, it can be a manifestation of past lives, ancestral lives, current life lessons here with infinite expressions. Because what it is, it's almost like a hall of mirrors. There's something to be learned here from this obstacle pile number 3s. That is a reiteration of a lesson that, if you're like me and you believe in past lives, it's a reiteration, a recurrence of a past life lesson that you're being met with again right now. And that's why probably why this tower moment is a part of your future right here. There's something that you are needing to learn regarding honoring your emotions and how you feel deep down, even if you're okay or you seem okay about something on the surface. About being radically honest. About not having to be so tough all the time and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe there is something askew here. Maybe I do have some battle scars. And that's okay. I can take off the helmet and I can admit that because I don't have to be a warrior all the time. Even though I feel like I have to put my guard up. Okay? It can also, like I said, be an ancestral lesson. Where it could be, there's things that pass down through your family, okay? A lot of how we act is a combination of nature and nurture. Sometimes it's genetic, sometimes it's the way we were raised. And I think with infinite expressions, it can be a lesson that passed down through your family. Maybe you have a history of, just for example, but a lot of people in your family doing things that they don't really want to do in terms of what they actually align with. Stuffing their feelings deep down and being like, but I need to be successful. I need to be that King of Wands. Even if it makes me stifle my emotions and what I actually want and feel deep down. And so that passed on to you. And so pile number 3 is, if that's the case, you're being invited with this obstacle to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to break that ancestral lesson. Okay, or I shouldn't say lesson. Ancestral burden is more like what it is, because it is a burden to think, that you can't honor your emotions or what you want or follow your heart, right? The buck stops with you, pile number 3, or you at least have the opportunity to break that. Same thing too if it's, the manifestation of, this has been in your life already. Okay? Maybe a lesson you didn't quite learn yet, and now you have another chance right now from this tower moment, this opportunity, to learn it again. And this is your chance to say, okay, life path, I'm going to do it right this time. And then so too, like I was saying, it's kind of the twofold message of the radical honesty too. It almost reminds me of, her taking her helmet off is almost like you taking off the helmet of your current incarnation, or the mask, I should say, that's probably a better word to use, and revealing who you are deep down at a soul level, if this is like a multiple life lesson related thing, right? And saying, hey, this is a scar I've carried with me through multiple incarnations or through multiple generations of my family. And I'm going to be honest about it now instead of hiding it like I used to or how my family used to. Okay. And then too, you were drawn to clearing for your pile leader. Clearing is all about, letting go of the old, letting go of old energy to make room for new energy. That's why the emoji I used for your pile with next to the timestamps was a broom, clearing out the old, right? Sweeping out the dust and letting in new air. That's the theme of your reading, pile number 3s, and that's the obstacle I'm being shown here. And your answer to that obstacle, your advice on breaking past it, is to just to summarize your reading, acknowledge how you feel, acknowledge what your heart wants, kind of as a combined message there. It's okay when that tower moment comes. You're going to weather through just fine. So part of breaking through the obstacle is almost out of your hands. It's more of a universe moment here with the tower. Okay? The change is a good thing, so don't fear it. It's part of you learning a lesson that's necessary for you to see things from a different perspective here with the Hangman, right? Surrendering to what is will help you get through this time. And like I said, don't run away from the reading being like, oh no, I'm going to lose my job. Because like I said, it could also manifest in a way where this is like you lose your job because there's another job offered to you. And so you have to choose between two. So like the tower moment doesn't necessarily have to be a scary thing. Okay, just remember that too. And I think that's why you're being very reassured too. It's okay, like surrender to what is from your spirit guides here. And then clearing to like change can be a really good thing. And that's really what they're emphasizing for you, pile number 3s, okay? And then yes, I also would recommend looking into past life readings. Maybe if you haven't already explored past lives, maybe some of you already have and you already kind of know maybe where this is stemming from. If you believe in past lives like I do, of course I respect all different beliefs on this channel, but yes, look into past lives if that's of interest to you. And my channel has, I think, one past life reading. I really need to do more of them, but there's plenty of YouTubers out there who have done past life readings or private tarot readers or like people into spiritual services that have done or they offer past life readings and things like that. Yeah, meditation is a great way to explore that. Even maybe if you have tarot cards yourself, looking into past lives and asking, where does this stem from? Because a lot of times we can gain and glean a lot of advice on how to break through things and learn lessons in this current incarnation by looking at what we did before. Same thing too applies if it's an ancestral type lesson, okay? Looking at the past and seeing, what did my ancestors do that led them to misery that I can change now to finally break that ancestral trauma or break that ancestral issue? How can I make this issue from my family stop with me at my branch of the tree? Okay, those types of things. So part of your obstacle is the universe is going to fix it anyways, pile number 3s. And part of your obstacle advice is accepting it, being radically honest, maybe doing a little bit of past life ancestor exploration, okay? And welcoming in the chance for new energy, for an opportunity to see life from a different perspective than the one you've had so far, okay? So that's what I'll leave you with today, my lovely pile number 3s. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. I hope that reading was helpful for you, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 3s.